Hello and welcome to Ascension Messages, episode 4. I am Samara, your feminist alchemist, and today we will be communing with the consciousness known as Anubis or Anpu. And Anubis is known for guiding souls from the darkness into the light, guiding their journey into the afterlife. And so came forward energetically during this time of us in the northern hemisphere, at least seasonally, out of the darkness of winter, the short days and the long nights, to this period of longer days, longer periods of light. This message, though, is timeless and can be applicable to anyone who is coming out of a dark night of the soul, a period of deep transformation, and especially if you're wondering, when is this going to be over? As many of us are. So know that if this episode has come to you at whatever time that it comes to you, there's something in it for you. So how this will work today, I'll let you in a bit on the preliminary meditation that I did that's sparked this episode into being in the first place. And I do have some card decks in front of me. However, the cards just push along the conversation, if you will. You'll hear me in any one or combination of 3 states. I may or may not end up in full channel, where you're hearing from the other consciousness and not myself. It may be my higher self, and then there's also my personality self. And all the messages are of equal value. They just come through different channels, if you will. And so that may be something you notice during this next 20 to 30 minutes. So our meditation that happened middle of the night, last night, I was brought to the topic of the ego versus the shadow, and how the ego protects itself from the truth that lies in the shadow. And I was shown the fear, the fragility of the ego, and how it protects itself from anything other than understanding itself as it is. And this can show up as the inability to apologize, the need to be right, being judgmental, anything that protects the identity that the ego has built for itself. And then the message came, in the dark lies the roots of one's ability to create and manifest reality. That soil must be showered with the light of acknowledgement and watered with unconditional love for the self. And we also discussed anger and other strong emotions, and how when we hide from ourselves from these emotions that we find undesirable, those emotions show up in unconscious ways and or in the physical body. Yes, so that was the meditation that led to this discussion with the consciousness that is Anubis. And I will go straight into how I'm being directed to proceed. And I will shuffle one of these decks first. So the first card that came out is Alchemy. It's card number 8. Alchemy, the 5 sacred elements. We are reminded that we are made up of spirit, air, water, fire, earth. And we beings are fully are manifestations, are mini manifestations of the greater whole. So in that, all aspects of ourselves must be fully embraced in order for the health of the physical and non-physical bodies to be optimized and balanced. It is also the key to the mastering of creating reality and manifestation. One cannot have a subconscious tool. All tools must be brought to the light and used with full awareness. When we say brought to the light, it does not mean that the tools are purified. It's the light of your awareness. The light of awareness that allows you to connect with different energy frequencies, to be aware of the frequencies that you are emitting, and to be aware of the frequencies in your environment, to distinguish between the essence of your soul and that which clings to it, may have attached itself to it through the various journeys and transformations that you have experienced in your lifetime. You are empowered to free yourself. This empowerment requires your humility to your humanity. The blockage of much healing, at the root of this blockage is the ego's inability to love unconditionally and forgive itself. the fear of feeling deeply unlovable and unworthy. In the darkest spaces, sometimes we only need a glimmer of light. It is though your responsibility to seek that glimmer of light. I'm on to the next deck to see what else. We have prioritizing, analysis, and I'm getting one more. Speed. Okay. And at the bottom of this deck, we have vibration, which came up. Sometimes I don't remember what was said, but I'm doing my best. So, this point came out in the meditation as well. Let me just grab my notes here from last night. They're prompting me to say, yes. We closed last night with saying, it is okay to be exactly where you are. You cannot force a plant to sprout, nor can you force a transformation. With these three cards, prioritizing, analysis, and speed, we have the very practical act of deciding, like, what are we going to deal with first? You know, we can't deal with everything at once. So I'm getting the message here that the transformation transformation process is quicker if you choose one element at a time to concentrate on. Because with every element, every piece, every task that you complete on that road, you actually gain momentum. When we're trying to spread our energy across several tasks, several priorities, then we actually slow down the process of the whole. We slow down the whole process. So good change starts in the physical realm as well. Releasing habitual actions and adding new routines, or changing your routine, eliminating routines. It's making space for new information. The ego is afraid of losing itself in transformation, not knowing that in transformation, you're actually finding more of yourself. As the ego has been built on its It's been built either defensively or offensively, but always in reaction and not to a state of being. The ego has been created in response to its environment, while the soul has been created from divine origins. That is not to vilify your ego. We simply must accept that the ego, as much as it is a tool for us to interact with the greater society, that it works for us, but can also work against us. And we must then understand that the soul is sovereign. The soul is free of the ego. The soul is the ego's master. So we must free ourselves from the enslavement of the ego and put it in its rightful place as a tool for our movement through life, through life's journey. It is an interface with which we interact with others. But as this human community moves to meeting each other on a more soul level, as the process has already been in progress, that these soul-based interactions will be facilitated and can only be facilitated when each one has relegated their ego to its rightful place as a tool. And as a learning tool for oneself as well. This is where we can analyze how the ego has built up constructs that protect and carry out stories that we have already created in our minds. We must also then realize that all that we create in our minds is manifesting at a much quicker speed in this era. This is why it is so important to do what you have termed shadow work, which we will simply refer to as loving yourself unconditionally. You will find as you do this work that it will become abundantly clear to you when you encounter someone who does not, who is not on the quest. Of releasing their destiny from the cycles of ego. what I'm getting here is that how we act in the world is very... How we think about the world and how we act in the world is creating the reality that we are experiencing. And there will be those of us who are ready to acknowledge that power, that responsibility, and actively seek to change the way they interact with the world in order to change their reality. And there will be those who who do not accept that power and are not able to see some difficult things about their past, themselves, their present. And I'm getting a very strong energy of forgiveness as well. The ability to forgive ourselves is so important in being able to move on from when we've hurt others, to forgive when others have hurt us, and just to free ourselves from guilt, blame, and shame, especially if we have been living under the stories of wrongdoings and when we've been victimized. So they want you to know that forgiveness is simply a tool to free yourself energetically from past energies that weigh you down. Because the only person who is suffering, you're basically suffering the same pains over and over again when we are not able to forgive. And believe me, I'm not speaking from a place of, of being a guru or anything like that. I have very difficult time with forgiveness as well. It's a daily, every other day, weekly task for me to do forgiveness work. And sometimes I feel that being as least emotional about it as you can and just making it an affirmation that you say every day or every week, it's just becomes programmed in your subconscious. You don't have to go dig yourself deep into the emotion of what happened in order to forgive what happened. You just need the intention to release it from your system, from your subconscious, so that you do not continue to play out any negative stories. I'm shuffling the last deck. I got 3 cards that flew out like Superman. And so we have, which one is first? This one is first. Planetary shifts. Heart compass, blue flame, and at the bottom of the deck I have inner alchemy, which is a nice rounding out of this session, because we started the session with the alchemy card. So So what I'm getting from planetary shifts is we're in a time that this work is actually easier. What's easier? I guess in comparison to generations before us or earlier in our lifetimes. But this is a time when transformation can be sped up. And we're in a space where we're asked to go deeply into trust of ourselves and trust of our intuition and those ways of those guidance systems, inner guidance systems, irrationalities that for so long have been considered, not worthy ways of guiding a life or guiding a society. The intuitive world is the divine feminine, right? Nature in cycles. The flowers don't just bloom whenever, right? They have an internal clock, an internal way of assessing the conditions. And when the conditions are right, then moves on to the next phase, right? It's not planning what it will do if that phase doesn't come. And it's not waiting impatiently for spring, for example. It's just moving with the flow of energy. And there's so much about the transformations that we are going through that we cannot possibly imagine what's on the other side of it. And this is why this heart compass card is indicating the importance of the heart as a guidance system. You are here to be aligned with your heart. Your heart is not here to be ignored, or it's not your frenemy or a foe that needs to be conquered so that you make more rational decisions. The mind and the heart must work together. But in certain times of this transformation, such a transformation where you cannot see at all what's on the other side, then your only beacon, the light in the darkness, is what you find in this seed in your heart. Remember, it was said that it is up to each one of us to find the light in the darkness. Blue flame is the next card here. I feel it's about connecting with our true divine nature and to live that out in the world. The ego also acts as a computer as to between how the soul, the true divine nature, wants to walk through the world and how the mind has assessed its environment as to what is acceptable and how to move through society. This, of course, has its value. However, one must also understand and recognize when the ego is now too big of a filter. It is distorting the light of the soul. The blue flame cleanses and aligns. Think not of removing the ego, but of aligning the ego with the light of your true divine nature, so that your actions and words in the world are a reflection, a channeling of your true divine spark. I'm getting it's time for us to move very authentically through the world. That is the best gift that we can give. And then this last card, Inner Alchemy, we each need to work on believing that exactly how we are made is how we were meant to be made. Is there room for improvements? Always, but those improvements are not different from your true divine nature. It is aligning the personality self, the ego self, with the true divine nature. And some of us, well, many of us, if not all, have forgotten our true divine nature, and we're finding our way back to it. And they also want you to know that it's not about finding it. It is the journey of finding it and expressing it. That is life. Life is the continuous movement of energy, the energy continuously seeking to find balance. I think they want to leave it there. So I hope that was that resonated with you. I do hope to hear from you or see you again sometime. Do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this session, and I will be back sometime soon. Until then, take care, be well, and stay blessed. Bye for now.